Let's not sugarcoat it, this is going to be uncomfortable. Imagine a young man in a developing country promised a life-changing sum for his kidney. He wakes up in pain, with a crude scar and barely any money, or sometimes, he doesn't wake up at all. This isn't fiction. It's the reality of the global organ trafficking industry. The World Health Organization estimates up to 10% of all organ transplants are illegal, over 10,000 illicit operations every year. That's the population of a small town, carved up for spare parts annually. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, thriving on human suffering. It's a market driven by brutal supply and demand. Millions on waiting lists and millions more so desperate that selling an organ seems like their only option. The collision of these worlds creates a perfect storm for exploitation. Tonight we're talking about organ harvesting, grim, infuriating, but necessary. Ignoring it only lets the monsters win. We'll look at how this market works, who the victims are, and who profits from their pain. From shadowy brokers to complicit doctors and even governments, this is more than a medical issue. It's a human rights catastrophe. The first step to stopping it is to drag it into the light. This is happening now, all over the world. The numbers are staggering, but the stories behind them are even worse. We can't look away. We have to talk about it, because silence is complicity. Let's get clear. Organ harvesting is the illegal trade of human organs for transplantation. It's not a Robin Hood story, it's a brutal, for-profit business. Organs are taken without valid consent, often through deception or force. A kidney can fetch up to $200,000 on the black market, but the donor might get just $1,000. The rest goes to brokers, corrupt doctors, and clinics. There are three main models: coercion, outright theft, and state-sponsored harvesting. Coercion targets the poor with false promises. Theft involves kidnapping or trickery. Victims wake up missing an organ. The most chilling governments using prisoners as living organ banks, executing them on demand. This isn't just crime, it's industrialized murder. It's the darkest abuse of power imaginable. The victims are always the most vulnerable. Refugees, the desperately poor, and prisoners. Refugees fleeing war are kidnapped, held for ransom, and if their families can't pay, their organs are sold. In kidney villages across India, Pakistan, and the Philippines, poverty drives people to sell organs for survival. They're promised a quick fix, but left with lifelong health problems and deeper poverty. Prisoners, especially in corrupt systems, are at extreme risk, forced to donate or simply harvested after death. Their lives are deemed worthless, but their organs are valuable. This is dehumanization for profit. Each victim has a name, a family, a story. They're not statistics. They're people whose bodies have become battlegrounds for greed. Their stories matter, we need to hear them, and we need to act. What happens when the government is the trafficker? In China, evidence shows systematic organ harvesting from prisoners of conscience. Falun Gong practitioners, Uyghurs, Tibetans, and others. China's transplant system exploded in the 2000s, with wait times of weeks, impossible without a hidden pool of living donors. Investigations found the number of transplants far exceeded official executions, the only explanation on-demand execution for organs. The China tribunal concluded this is a crime against humanity. Doctors become executioners, and the state becomes a criminal syndicate. Other regimes like North Korea and Iran have faced similar accusations. When the state profits from this trade, it declares some lives worth less than others. That's a horror we can't ignore. The illegal organ trade is a global organized crime network. It starts with brokers, predators in poor communities, refugee camps, and online, hunting for victims. Victims are trafficked to secret clinics where corrupt medical professionals perform the surgeries. The organs are rushed through a sophisticated logistics network, sometimes disguised as legitimate medical shipments. Corruption greases every step: airport officials, customs agents, police. At the end is the recipient, often from a wealthy country willing to pay to skip the line. Some recipients are ignorant. Many just don't care. Their desperation fuels the entire system. This is a supply chain built on exploitation and misery, and it's happening right now. Transplant tourism, traveling abroad for an organ transplant, sounds harmless, but it's often a cover for illegal trade. Destinations are countries with weak laws and vulnerable populations. As laws tighten in one place, the trade shifts elsewhere. Specialized agencies arrange everything, using coded language to hide the truth. Patients are sold a story of willing donors, but the reality is exploitation. The recipient's money funds the entire operation, from the broker to the corrupt doctor. In the worst cases, it pays for the execution of prisoners. Demand from wealthy nations is the engine of this trade. Without transplant tourists, the market would collapse. This is not a victimless transaction, it's a global crime. Why does this nightmare persist? It's the unholy trinity. High demand, extreme poverty, and weak laws. Demand is skyrocketing. Chronic diseases mean more people need organs than ever. The legal supply can't keep up, so desperation creates a black market. Poverty is the fuel. When survival is at stake, selling an organ becomes thinkable. Traffickers target the desperate where consent is meaningless. Weak laws and corruption let traffickers, doctors, and officials operate with impunity. In some places, the government itself is the criminal. This legal vacuum lets the trade flourish. Openly in some countries, in the shadows in others. It's a system failure on a global scale. No single fix will work. We have to attack all three roots at once, otherwise the cycle continues, and more lives are lost. Amid the darkness, there are heroes fighting back. Journalists, lawyers, activists, and ethical doctors risk everything to expose these crimes. International organizations like the UN and WHO set global standards and pressure governments to act. The Declaration of Istanbul condemns transplant tourism and unethical organ sourcing. Some countries have cracked down, passing stricter laws and boosting legal donation rates. Survivors are speaking out, forming support groups, and advocating for change. Their courage is a powerful weapon. The fight is slow, but it's real, and it's making a difference. We've seen the horror, now what? The solutions aren't simple, but they exist. Stronger laws, real enforcement, and global pressure on governments are essential. We must support ethical, self-sufficient organ donation systems. But it's not just up to governments, it's up to us. Educate yourself and others. Talk about this. Share the facts. Support organizations fighting on the front lines. Even small donations help. And consider becoming an organ donor yourself. More legal donors mean less demand for the black market. This problem was made by people, and it can be unmade by people. It's our turn to act. Let's be the light in the darkness.